Hello there, my name's Shah. I'm an astrophotographer and I work at the Roboscopes observatory based at EI in Extremadura, Spain. Just walking up the track to the observatory site. You can see just over on my shoulder there, you can probably see a little R2-D2. That's one of the observatories, one of the owners of the site. Thought it was a good idea to turn one of the domes into something that resembles R2-D2. So here is I'll just show you the location. It's an absolutely stunning location. You can see all around there's just nothing for miles and miles and miles, and it's just a stunning place to be. Just approaching the gates to the site towards the top, and you can see all the observatories all lined up there. These are, incidentally, these are rented out to individuals. Each observatory nest, I think there's 8 nests to one observatory, and they're all named after the Apollo program, Apollo 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. The buildings themselves, they're double wall cavity insulated. As soon as you go inside from the Spanish heat, it's actually surprisingly cold in there, so it keeps it's very good for the optics and the computers. Keeps everything nice and cool and stable, ready for the night's imaging sessions. So this is the observatory for Roboscopes. Believe it or not, it's called Apollo 11, and it's a roll-off roof design. You can see it's got half walls, which gives an unimpeded views of the horizon all the way around. South being all the way completely unimpeded, and if you continue around to the north, which you don't do a great deal of imaging towards the north really, because everything comes around, you have all the other observatories there. So it's a pretty good location actually. Bought all 2 to 3 on average. The roof itself actually weighs about just under, or just, it's around about 1.5 tons, and it completely rolls along these rails out the way. And far enough away to get those eastern horizons as well. So it's a great design, and again made out of the insulated walls, which help to keep the observatory cool and all the optics cool inside. Let's go and have a look inside. Okay, so I'm going to open the roof. This is a manual open, stop and close. So I'm just going to open the roof. You see the motor started going, and the roof is starting to open. Okay, so this is the observatory. We have 14 piers, various different designs and sizes of telescopes and camera configurations, and just pretty much to meet everybody's needs really. Okay, so let's start off with starting at Pier 1. Okay, so we have a 10-inch Dulkirkham. This is actually my own design that I built. And we have it's got a CCD. Sorry, it originally had a CCD, but we've changed it over just in this trip to a CMOS. CMOS is the new generation cameras that are coming in. They're far far superior than CCDs, arguably I should say, because there are some real die-hard CCD nuts out there. But you know, since trying the CCDs, you know, I have to say it's a game changer as far as astrophotography is concerned. So we have the ZWA ASI 1600mm. It gives a really nice field of view, good for galaxies, close-ups of details in nebulae. It has a 1700mm focal length, the scope, and it's completely corrected flat field for a full-frame sensor if you wanted to put one on. And we have it sitting on a 10 micron GM1000, which is a small mount, but it's adequate for this rig. Moving on to Pier 2. It's the same design configuration as far as the optical setup is concerned, except instead of being a 10-inch as it is on Pier 1, we have a 12. Again, my design, I built this one. It's a truss configuration. It has a shroud just to stop any kind of stray light coming in. Not that we have much here. It's very dark here, but it's there just to help if there was anything such as, you know, if we get glow from the moon or anything like that. It just aids any stray light hitting the sensor. The camera is a Moravian 16200 CCD, and it's guided with an ASI 174 guide camera, and it sits on an ME1, which I have to say is probably one of the best paramounts that was made. I prefer it over the ME2s, even though it has a lighter load capacity. It's a far superior mount in my opinion, and they shouldn't have superseded that anyway. But that's my opinion. The Pier 3, we have a rather fast f3.6 12-inch Newtonian made by ASA. Again on an ME1 mount, and it has the FLI version of the 16200 sensor, so finger lakes instrumentation, full set of narrowband filters on this as well, and that's guided. That gives a kind of a less of a field of view as compared to Pier 2, which is running at f6.8, might add. And one of my favourite little scopes, Pier 4. I call it a scope. It's not actually a scope, but it packs a huge punch. It's actually a 105mm camera lens, but it's almost 4 inches across, so you could almost class it as a small telescope. It has a 105mm focal length, and it has one of my favourite new CMOS cameras, the 2600 by ASI, super sensitive, back illuminated, really low noise, and again this is sitting on an MX. This one actually is a Paramount, but it's an MX, which is much smaller, the baby version of the ME. But it gives a super wide field of view, and it's great for those really large objects, huge wide fields, such as Rho Ophiuchi, which comes up in Scorpius, and it's one of the astrophotographers' favourites. You can actually get it from this site. It's still very low, but we can get it during the summer months, and it's a one-shot colour, so you'll see there's no filters on this. Okay, moving over to Pier 5, we have another well-known brand, the Takahashi ED180, notoriously fast telescope, notoriously difficult to collimate, as I know. And again, we've just recently put a new camera on this one. We've got the ASI 2600, again one-shot color, which is just a phenomenal setup, giving really nice fields of view, wide fields of view, and again on a Paramount MX. Moving over to Pier 6, we have an FSQ, another Takahashi. A lot of people's favourite Takahashis. It's an FSQ 106. This one we're running. Sorry, move away from the sun. This one we're running at f3.3. We have a Takahashi reducer, and it has again another one-shot color, ASI 2600, and it's on a 10 micron mount, 10 micron GM 1000. This runs incidentally the Pier 4 camera lens, Pier 5, Pier 6. These all run completely unguided, so we save a lot of time on imaging on these. Again, this is another. This is a one-shot color. This has just been swapped over from having a mono on there, but we found that the one-shot colors are very popular. So we thought that the 106 would work well with the one-shot color, and I think appeal to a lot of images. Another one of my favorite scopes is the FLT 132. It's a William Optics scope. It doesn't have the badge that the Takahashi has, but I have to say this particular one, this was only a test rig that we put in initially, and we were planning to take it out, but I was so impressed with the optics, we just couldn't bring ourselves to take it out. It's just so good, and dare I say, as good as the Takahashi. Color correction is just phenomenal. And I know that's quite a controversial thing to say, but I'll stand by that. This is an absolute wonderful telescope, and rather underrated. We've just recently swapped it over from the QSI 83 00 sensor, and we've put an ASI equivalent size and field of view, but we swapped it over to CMOS now, as the CMOS is becoming more popular. So this is the ASI 1600 mm one shot. Sorry, it's not one shot color. It's the mono version with a full set of narrowband LRGB and narrowband filters. And again, this is running on an MX. And now we move on to the big boys. This is probably the biggest scope, and my all-time favourite. It's a huge setup, monster scope, beautiful for those real serious astrophotographers and astronomers. This is the monster 17-inch plane wave. You can see it's on this is on a fork mount, and it's on the mount is actually the L500. It has no gears at all. It's a direct drive. Using motors rather than gears, and this at 3 meters focal length just runs completely unguided. It's so smooth, it's so fast. We have it on the slowest speed setting. We couldn't slow it down anymore, and it runs at 20 degrees a second as it slews across the sky, and it just goes. We were worried it was just going to knock somebody off their feet if anybody was in the observatory as it spun round. So we had to slow it down as much as we could. We have the top of the range Kepler 4040 CMOS, super sensitive camera. It's so sensitive, even at 6.8 you can only run it for a couple of minutes before it becomes oversaturated. It's so nice, so sensitive. I mean, you really don't need any more. I mean, for narrowband, we run them maximum for dark objects at 180 seconds. There's no need to do any more than that on this particular camera. It's just phenomenal. And we have the Finger Lakes 10 position filter wheel. We have a full set of narrowband filters, all 3 nanometers, all narrowband at 3 nanometers. So we have an LRGB. They're all Astrodons, so LRGB, and then the narrowbands are H alpha, O3, S2, and N2 in this one, and they're all the highest quality we could get. So a real stunning piece of kit, very desirable, and just a joy to use. Absolute pleasure. Okay, let's move on to this latest instalment. So this is one of the latest telescopes we've just installed in this trip. It's still being set up at the moment. We have it on the ASA DDM85 mount. Again, this is direct drive mount. It has no gears. It's very smooth, and fingers crossed, it should do unguided. We haven't tested it properly yet, By the time we've set it up and got it all ready, I'm hoping that we'll be able to run this completely unguided as well. Now this scope is a dull Kirkham, 16-inch dull Kirkham f6.8, fully corrected. But we have again one of my favourite cameras. Again, they're so good. We bought a load of them, and it's the ASI 6200mm. This is the later version, which is the mono version. And again, we have a full set of narrowband filters in this one, and it will give an absolute phenomenal field of view for those galaxy, for galaxy season and planetary nebulae and some of those smaller objects or smaller details that you'll want to image. Moving on to Pier 10. This is a wonderful telescope. It's an f3.3 super fast Newtonian, fully corrected. When it was made incorrectly. The tube was too long, so I had to cut the end off it. Believe it or not, nerve-wracking moments, but I had to cut 3 inches off the end of this particular telescope. The optics were actually, it's got zero door optics in here. For those who don't know what zero door is a very low expansion, zero expansion virtually. So it's very, very stable, keeps its sharpness through any temperature changes, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful scope. This mirror was actually made by a famous optician called Danny Cordine. We actually called the scope the Danny after him, but it was made for himself. He made it for himself originally, and he makes very large professional telescopes. So you can imagine the optics in this are just absolutely sublime. And on this we've got another ASI 6. Oh no, sorry. This is the 6200. This is the full frame 35mm sensor, and it gives a little bit wider field of view. Full set of narrowband filters on there, or full set of filters, 7 filters in there, LRGB, H alpha, O3 and S2, and it's just a beautiful telescope. On the ever popular ME, we have a few MEs in here, and I can't wait to. Again, this is a brand new installation. We installed it with Pier 9, the dull Kirkham, the 16-inch dull Kirkham, and fingers crossed. I mean, we'll get some stunning results from this. Yet to be tested and set up properly, but I can't wait to see what we can get out of this one. Pier 11, we have a baby FSQ, and again, this is running completely unguided. It has the ASI 1600mm, and it's on a 10 micron GM 1000. Lovely little setup, wide field of view, mono configuration with a full set of narrowband filters, and just a really nice, cheap and easy. I say cheap, inverted commas. It's the setup is it's still quite a substantial bit of kit, but it's a beautiful little rig, relatively speaking, as far as cost concerned. On if you were to buy one of these, but it's a beautiful little setup, and this will run completely unguided. And it has a wonderful colour correction on this. Another one of my favourites, Pier 12, is for those who have been in astronomy for a long time. This is quite an old telescope. They're no longer made. This is just a wonderful telescope. It has it's made by Arcos, and for its, I mean, even for modern standards, I mean, this telescope the optics in them is 1/25th wave. And it has beautifully corrected. It's an RC design, which is a Richie Chrétien design, and it gives a superb correction across the field. This particular one has front focusing, which is my preference on RCs, and It also has a zero door. It has the zero door option, so very low expansion optics. We have a 10-way filter wheel on this one. This is a centerline filter wheel. It helps keeps the balance of the scope really well. And we have the Finger Lakes instrumentations, 16803 CCD full frame sensor. So it gives a really nice field of view on this. And we're running this guided because it's a 3-meter focal length. Quite a lot to ask for the GM2000 to run unguided on this. Although it said that it can do it so far, you know, we're running it guided at the moment. We're working on running it unguided. But there, to be honest with you, in my experience, the 10 microns are a little bit fickle when it comes down to running unguided. Whereas on the plane wave, I just set it up in one night virtually, got it running, got it polar aligned, and it just did unguided off straight off the gates. It just went and was running unguided. This one, not so easy. It's a little bit more sensitive to atmospheric refraction and all kinds of other settings, GPS settings and various things. So I need to get my head round and get this one running unguided. But to be honest with you, it guides beautifully, absolutely beautifully, and is an exceptional mount nevertheless. So then running onto Pier 13. This is another 14-inch Newtonian. It's an f3.8, and it has a Finger Lakes Instrumentations, a 16803 full frame square sensor. Another desirable setup. Beautiful telescope. Again on the GM 2000 mount. Last but not least, this is one of the subscribers' Piers. This is again like Pier 6. It's an FSQ 106, very popular. But this configuration has a full frame ASI 16200 ASI 6200 camera, but it's the mono. It's a mono setup, and again, beautiful wide fields running completely unguided on an MX Paramount MX, and this is the observatory. This is it. You can see we're still in work mode. The observatory will be a little bit tidier after we've finished. And incidentally, we're although the seeing's very good, we're putting some of this insulation down to further improve the seeing. See if we can improve the local scene at telescope level. But to be honest with you, I'm not sure it's going to make that much difference. But you know, it's just worth doing. If you can do anything to improve it, then you know we will. So that's it. This is the Roboscopes Observatory. I hope you've enjoyed having a look around. If there are any questions, you can just drop a comment or ask a question in our on our website, and one of us will get back to you and explain anything that I haven't covered here today. Here we have our main server cab. This keeps us in communications with our telescopes. We control these from the UK, and it has backup storage of over 120 terabytes. Obviously, these cameras take up a lot of memory, a lot of space when we start downloading the data, and we need somewhere to keep it. We've blacked out the glass here, so none of the LEDs or lights on the systems interfere with the scopes. Completely blacked out, so there's no light leakage at all. They have a UPS system, so it's an uninterrupted power supplies, that if we do have a power cut or any kind of interruption with the power at all, there's a battery backup that has enough in there to run a graceful shutdown on the PCs and close everything down, put everything safe, and close the roof, just in case anything happens. Incidentally, if the internet goes down, then the same thing happens. Everything shuts down because loss of communication. We don't know what the reason is for that, so we just just for pure safety, we shut everything down, and we run a graceful shutdown, and everything's parked and safe, so we can run the whole thing confidently through any eventuality. Over here we have, in the centre of the observatories, we have our cabs that actually directly link to each telescope. These cabs are then linked to the server. Each cab runs 3 telescopes. So this particular one, cab 1, this runs Pier 1, 2 and 13, and all the other cabs down the centre, they all run their corresponding telescopes. This is our accommodation. You can see it's quite comfortable for anybody using the facilities. Incidentally, it used to be an old flour mill that's been converted into apartments. It's very comfortable. We have a barbecue area over there. And then we have our own little private area where we're staying. And this trip, this is our apartment. Each apartment's named after a constellation or a star, and ours is named Deneb. Well, this concludes the tour of the observatory at EI of Roboscopes. I hope you found it interesting, and happy imaging.